Live. So, welcome to Stock Tricks with Nick, the breakout watch list for the upcoming week. If you're new to Stock Tricks with Nick, we do live streams Tuesday nights and typically Friday nights. Had to switch the schedule up a little bit this week and broke out the trading recap that I do on Friday and the watch list to give me a little bit more time to put together a better list for you guys. So I have 15 stocks to cover today, along with a group of 10 or 11 stocks that you guys requested on StockTwits or Twitter. And then you can also use the chat feature in the live stream to bring up any stocks that you want me to cover. With that said, the stocks on my watch list that I'll be covering will be going from the largest market cap to the smallest. So not a specific order of like this stock has to break out this week or anything like that. Just a way to order it this week. Maybe we change that up for next week. With that said, if you're watching this after the live stream and you just want to go to a specific stock, I'll always put the timestamps of each of the stocks that we talk about in the comment section below the actual video, not in the live stream. So with that said, follow me on StockTwits, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to the YouTube channel Stock Tricks with Nick. Let's jump into it. So did make a couple changes to the screen since last week. Added this bar where you can see how far a stock has moved up or down. Just enhanced that because it was very small for you guys to see other than me calling it out. Outside of that, I also put a new technical indicator, the ATR, average true range, on here. This shows how much basically volatility has been moving on the stock lately. So in the example of Apple here, you can see all these candles are getting really small, really tight, and the ATR, average true range, has been declining. So we want to look for that for a stock that has broken out and is really starting to calm down, getting quiet, people are forgetting about it, and then we invest as it breaks out. So those are the two adjustments on the screen. I also put the volume behind the chart just to give this more room for the price relativity and the average true range. So first we have Apple, the largest market cap stock that we'll be talking about today. What we see here is really strong uptrend since the virus bottom in March there. And then we have that similar to a VCP setup, volatility contraction pattern that we look for. So from the highs to the low on that first pullback, we have 25%. From the highs to low on this pullback, we have 14%. And we get one more guy just at 6%. So each of those pullbacks are getting lighter and lighter. Volume has really gotten quiet the last week, which is something that you like to see. ATR in a strong decline, everything's getting quiet. Relative strength's holding up just fine. Ideally, that's moving up with the tightening, but nothing wrong with that. You also have the 50-day and the 20-day simple moving averages just below the current price to provide support, along with a volume shelf here. So you have a lot of support on the downside. So you should instantly know if you're wrong on the trade and get out if we break under the support of both of those moving averages and the volume shelf there. On the upside, in my kind of target buy point, you could use the high from 11.16, and that would be 121 as your buy point. Or if you want to be a little bit more careful, the high on 11.9 is 121.99, so 122 would be a nice buy point there. And then a move from, I guess, the initial buy point to all-time highs would be a 14% move. So probably not going to be a crazy explosion, but this is a nice consolidation pattern. You have support under where the stock's trading right now, and this has gone quiet. So we'll be buying, I'll be buying if the stock starts breaking out to new high, or breaking out over that pivot high. So I'm always trying to buy once momentum starts going in my way. I don't buy when the stock's pulling down because you never know how long the stock's going to pull down for. And if I'm going to put my money in the market, I want it working right away. So that is Apple, AAPL. Next, we have CRM. Similar story with that. Let me zoom out to get the full picture. Another part of my stocks that I watch have to be over the 200-day simple moving average, and that moving average has to be in an uptrend. That just shows typically that there's not too much overhead where traders are stuck at higher prices, willing to get out once it goes up there. So you see this is in a strong uptrend. You see the gap up on earnings here and pull down. And what I really like to see here, not as someone who might have been in the stock already, but for someone who's watching to buy in later, is this pullback undercut the previous pullback here. So anyone who got in right around here, put their stop losses at the previous low, would have gotten stopped out. So we get a new group of traders coming in here, moving this up, pulled back to all the moving averages, the 8-day exponential, and then the 50 and the 20-day simple moving averages. That held as support. We pushed higher, and then on Friday we had an inside day with slightly less volume than Thursday. So let's count the pullbacks. So you have a pullback of 18% there. This one might be a little bit more. No, a little bit less, 15%. Third one, 9%. So that VCP pattern, each of those less magnitude. Volume has been pretty close to dry the entire time, so not much going on there. ATR lightening up a little bit. But what I want to see, you see support of the 50, the 20-day, and that volume shelf right there. So I'll be looking for a break either over Thursday's high, and that would be 267.09, or the high from 11.9, and that is 270.92. That's CRM. Let's go Square, SQ. 200-day in a strong uptrend. Same with the 50-day. 20 days just starting to get in an uptrend. And then you also have ATR pulling, getting a little bit quieter here, even though it's moving higher. Price relativity compared to QQQ going up, so acting strong. Had the strong pullback into the elections, and then everything kind of catapulted off that. And as you know, we've been trading in a choppy market lately, so had another pullback to a couple of the moving averages that held, and now from Friday's high and the high on 11.6 of 201.33 and 201 basically creates a nice buy point through there. So I'll probably look for the high from 11.6 of 201.33 as my buy point into all-time highs. But you have that pullback, another one that has a nice undercut and touching right around that 50-day simple moving average, and then this setting up nicely. So that's Square, SQ. NVTA, this is a trade that I tried last week and ended up cutting it really quick, not really quickly, but for a small loss. Just because I had a couple other names working and I didn't want to overextend my portfolio while the market was still trading pretty choppy. But it is really setting up nicely now. Let me zoom out here. So you do have this gap and go and a move of 208% to the highs just from late June. And then we get a pullback from the highs, undercutting the 50-day simple moving average of 31%. So if it's over 40%, that's when I get a little bit cautious on trading those because it does create a lot of overhead to get through. But this moved up right away, had a nice undercut on, let's see, 11.10 that day to get a lot of those stops out. And then I bought this. Let me throw the trade history on there. So I bought this with a break over the high on 11.11. So I bought it on 11.12. Sold basically when it was moving up on 11.19, but not as much as a lot of the other growth stocks. So just wanted to take the exposure off. But now looking back on hindsight, this is still setting up really well. Friday you had a test of the 8-day exponential moving average that held, had higher highs, higher lows. So now I'm looking at the high from 11.12 as a buy point of 49.79. So we can get over that area. You kind of have an inverse head and shoulders going with there. And over there, over this buy point, you can see volume. The volume profile gets very light, so not a lot of traders trapped at those prices. So very low overhead. That's NVTA. Next we have TECK, just starting to get some uptrend on the 200-day simple moving average. ATR getting really quiet there, while relative strength compared to QQQ is going up. All good signs. This one, let's see, what did it move off the lows? Had a 34% move in maybe a week or two there. Pulled back to the 8-day, tried to bounce, and then you can see 3 times now the 8-day exponential moving average has held as support. ATR is getting really quiet there, so you can just draw your flag through there and just say maybe a break over Friday's high. That would be 1520 as a possible buy point. If you wanted to use the high from 1118, you could do that as well. That's 1528. That's TECK. Let's go IPHI. Zooming out here. Really nice move. 200-day and a strong uptrend. What is this off the lows? About 150%, 160% off the lows in late March, as many stocks are. But just recently, we had a strong move of around 40% to the highs here. So this got my attention, this move up through here. And now we pulled back to the 8-day exponential moving average. That has been holding really well. You can see the volume lightening up. ATR getting very, very tight. So each of the trading candles or the daily candles are getting tighter and tighter, creating a really nice buy point, basically off of Friday's high, which coincides with the high from 1113. So that's 150.66 and 151.13. So I would use Friday's high as my buy point on this. And you can see all the reasons why. So volume declining, things are getting quiet, everything's getting tight. We're over the volume shelf there, and this has been in a strong uptrend. IPHI. So LPRO. So really, really strong move. 200% since, when is that? Since June there. And a really nice tennis ball action. Like Mark Minervini always says, you want it to break out, pull back, and keep bouncing. So that's what this guy has been doing. Just lately, you can see that we had a nice undercut of previous lows, getting out those stops, and then just riding the 8-day exponential moving average as the ATR gets tighter and tighter. That's dropping. Relative strength is in an uptrend. 200 days in an uptrend. Overall volume is lightening up. So everyone's forgetting about this guy, thinking it's run its course. So I'll be looking at a buy over the all-time high here. Let's see, that was set on 11/13 of 30.88. So that's LPRO. So ALRM. Nice cup and kind of handle forming here. If you zoom out, you can see we're over that we're just about over the previous high. That's kind of marking my buy point. And let's see here. Getting back in, it's a little slow to zoom. We had a move just recently of 34% higher, and then everything got very quiet. You can see here as we pull back to the 8-day exponential moving average. The one thing I don't love about this setup is the volume's actually a little bit higher in the tail here, so we might need a couple more days for this to go quiet before a possible breakout over Thursday's high point here. That would be 72.36, and moving past that high would also clear this previous high here. So massive cup and handle, and then kind of like mini cup and handle right here. So we'll see how this guy goes next week. That's ALRM. Next we have OLN. You can see the 200 days just starting in an uptrend. ATR is getting tight. Relative strength has always been strong. Volume is getting very quiet. So people are starting to forget about this guy. This moved up 84% since late September. And then you see a breakout, pulled back to the 20-day simple moving average, and then another breakout, and now we're pulling back to the 8-day. So I would be using, it's tough. You can kind of draw a flag on here, maybe take a trade off the diagonal. or you can use the high from 1118 as a buy point. Personally, I would love just a couple more days of sideways movement, have the 20-day simple moving average catch up a little bit before we can get going on this guy. This is OLN. Let's go BRP. 200-day simple moving average, uptrend. Let's see, what is this off the lows? 200% off the lows here. A nice W pattern, double bottom through there. And now getting really quiet. This might need a couple more days just to really kind of vanish off of a lot of people's watch lists. But it's pulled back to the 8-day, and you have a nice, basically a double top here from the high from 11.9 and 11.16 as a possible buy point. So looking at 33.21 area, you could do a pullback buy. Ideally, this has like a minor move up and then pulls back, so you have even a tighter pivot buy point. But we'll see how this plays out. Good one to keep on the watch list. Next, we have Shutterstock, SSTK. You can see this is one that I've traded before. Unfortunately, I got out just before earnings. That was when a lot of the other growth stocks were pulling back, so I just wanted to lighten up exposure overall. Picked the wrong name to lighten up on because that broke out. Since earnings, we have a pullback to undercut the earnings dates low, which is nice. Nice if you're not in the stock. Nice to see though, because it does get some stops out of the way. And then this has gone really quiet. You can see the ATR tightening up. You have the 20-day simple moving average running up, the 8-day right there as support, and a nice pivot buy point from the high of 11.17 of 70.56. So let's see if that can keep running. Next we have AMRC. We had a move up of 55% and then a pullback here. That's not exact, 21%. 14%, 8%. So quick action VCP. I don't think this would actually. It's a little too quick for the actual like volatility contraction pattern that we like to see, but is kind of mimicking it on a shorter term time frame. 200 days in an uptrend. Volumes getting very light as this ATR gets really tight. Relative strength has been fine through here. We're right at the volume shelf with the 8-day exponential moving average. So a move over that and you would be clear skies ahead. You can pick either the high on Wednesday, that would be 43.97, 44.89, the high from 11.12, or you could just pick the high from 11.9, or you could use those highs to scale into a position. So the lower your pivot buy point is, the higher probability that the stock's going to work against you and stop you out. But if you can get in at those lower prices, when they do turn around and start running, you'll be in at a lower price, so your winning amount would be higher, but the winning probability is a little bit less on those guys. So that's AMRC. PSNL is next. I was a little hesitant to put this on because it's already run a little bit. We'll see if we could get a buy-in on Monday. Maybe too late for this guy, but just wanted to throw this out there because it is showing a pattern that you should get familiar with for breakouts. We have a 500% move up from the lows. You see the 200-day in a strong uptrend. And then just recently here, you had a pullback off the high of 24%, so still within that 40% range. Really volatile trading as the rest of the growth market has been. But then you have a mini pullback here, so from the high to the low on this guy, that's 11%. That held. And then you could have used the break over, let's see, 11.11's high as your buy point on Friday. We might be a little too late on this. I didn't take this trade on Friday, but look at this volume on the move on Friday. That's a great sign that we're going to see some strong continuation on this guy. So If for any reason we open lower on Monday, and then we can work our way through the high point or through the previous pivot of 30.49, that would be a good entry and something that I'll be looking for on Monday. The volume is definitely something that I like to see on these breakout stocks. Ideally, you get in and then you see the volume come in, those institutional buyers, but I was a little late on this guy. Got two more for you, then we'll get to the comment section. We got VOXX. 200-day in an uptrend. This is a really light trading stock, so I'm not going to put a ton of a large position on this guy just so you don't get slippage when you're trading, but up 130% since September, and then you get a pullback of 28%, so still within that trading rule. Second pullback, 14%. Ideally, we have one more up day and then another pullback to really tighten up the range. You can see ATR is already tightening up, relative strengths going up. Volume has been very quiet through here. So checking almost all the boxes. I'd love to see just one more up day, pull back to give us a lower pivot buy point. Otherwise, you could use the high from 11.11 of 12.40 for the move. And last but not least, we have DSKE. Zooming out here. You have the 200-day starting to get in an uptrend, move off of May's lows of 350%, sorry. And then you have a pullback of 30%, and then you do get an undercut of those lows on this pullback, which you like to see if you're not already in the stock, but getting it set up. Two super large volume days as this bounced up, bringing us right back to the previous highs. Since then, you had another undercut day, getting under all of these lows, shaking out those traders. And this is setting up really tightly. You can see it's getting tight. One thing I don't love about this is volume has been a little heavier the last couple of days. So it's not as quiet as you'd like before a breakout, but still one to watch for. You can use Thursday's high of 725, or if you want to be extra cautious, you have two high points here and here, and that would be 731 area. So those are the stocks on my watch list. Let's get to some of the ones that you guys wanted on StockTwits. We have NEE, 200 days in an uptrend. I don't like this large red candle. That was a strong breakout. Let's see, what did that get up to? 9% move, but sold off all day on a little bit heavier volume. Let me throw events on there. Was that earnings? Wasn't earnings. So I'm not sure exactly what that was, but I don't like to see that. Since then, it bounced a little, pulled back. Right now, we're sitting under the 8-day, under the 20-day. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't really have the power behind a stock that I would want to be trading. And the fact that it's under some of these moving averages. We'll see if this can get over the two highs through these 2 days. That'd be 78.40 range before taking the trade. NEE. We have Microsoft, MSFT. 200-day in an uptrend. Similar pattern to Apple and CRM. Right in the mix with all of their moving averages and that volume shelf as things tighten up. So similar of what I said about Apple, this could be a solid stock to trade if we can get over, let's see, the high from 11.12. That would be 219.11. Maybe get the ball rolling on that. FEYE is next. 200 days in a downtrend, so not going to be trading this one myself. And that's kind of a new rule for me because you can see I did try to trade a little pullback breakout. That did not work, and I got out immediately there. Lots of volume coming in Friday, but a lot of this was selling as we pulled back into the Bollinger Bands. Usually red candles closing outside of the red candles outside of the upper Bollinger Band are typically bearish, showing that those prices couldn't hold. So we'll see how this shakes out this week, but not something that I want to be trading just yet. Yeah, let's go with that. OEG, it's under $5, so not much of what I'm gonna say has any relevance here, so I'm just gonna skip this one. Sorry about that. WWR, let's see. Yeah, so really strong pullback here. Let me get the right price. So pullback of 75%, that's over my 40% threshold. So I'm not going to be trading this. You can still make money on these trades, but when you have a pullback that strong, you have large overhead here. So you have a bunch of traders that really want to get out at break even to say that they didn't make a trading mistake. So when you get up into those prices, you'll likely see a lot of resistance through there. Lately, we had a breakout on volume, pullback, volume got lighter, and then tested the 8-day, which held, and we moved over that buy point. So if this wasn't as strong of a pullback, this is exactly what I'd like to see in a breakout over pivots, coming on volume after everything was getting very quiet. It's just a little too much overhead for me. It's WWR. Old friend of mine, PEIX. I've traded this a couple times on the breakouts there. Since the high point, let's see, what did we get to? Down 53%. That violates the trading rules for myself, so I won't be trading this. It looks like Friday, a lot of volume came in, but this is exactly what I'm talking about when you have large volume higher, a large overhead here. Any moves typically get sold off relatively quickly. So let's see, what did this go up that day? 13% or so. So went up 13% over the 20-day, and then that move got sold off right back down to the 8-day exponential moving average. You have good volume shelf through $8. So maybe if it starts clearing $8, then things get lighter up there. That's when I took my last trade around $8, got filled, then sold into the strength right before, got out the day before it started dipping. So we'll see how this plays out. But I know a lot of traders will have their stops under this guy's low, Thursday's low. So you might see a pullback under that low before a move higher. PEIX, got DAC. Let's see here, 200-day in a uptrend. Ooh, I kind of like this guy. So up 309%. Interesting from the lows, 200 days in an uptrend. So I'm not trading this off the bat, up 78% in a short while. So this is already extended for me. What I'd love to see is this pullback, undercut the 8-day kind of to this base. That would be a 23% move down. And then a kind of pop there and another pullback to create that lower pivot buy point just above the previous base there. So watch this area of support. That's around 1233. If we can undercut that and then get the ATR to go the opposite direction, so you see it's been expanding as this exploded higher. If this can start pulling down while we get back to the previous base, then it could become a buy, but a little too extended for me right now. IEA, 200-day in an uptrend, strong move through here. Let's see, 558%, solid. Lots of power behind this name. ATR is just starting to turn over, so we'll need a little bit more time. If it immediately starts going, you could use the previous highs as a buy point. That's 1280, 1270 through there. Volume's already getting really light as it's pulled back. Relative strength in an uptrend. So I just want this to get a little bit tighter for the people in this to people have this on their watch list to calm down, kind of forget about it, so it becomes a nice buy. But really good stock to throw in your watch list. Let's go FUBO. Yeah, really strong move through here. This is one where I have it on my watch list, on my larger watch list, that I just want to see how it pulls back, because I'm not chasing a stock up 140% from the previous base from its 200-day simple moving average. But let's see if we can pull back. Man, this has been exploding, so it'll need some time to cool down before I try to take the trade. And if you're already in the stock, you do want to be selling some into strength, so you can book that profit, reduce your risk of a strong pullback, because right now we're sitting 16% away from the 8-day exponential moving average, 30%, 31% from the previous breakout point and the 20-day simple moving average. So could have around 20 to 30% pullback coming, or it could just keep running. But either way, I wanted to pull back and set up before I take the trade. PPSI, I think this is one that we talked about before. Yeah, so kind of same story as that other guy, down 76%, tons of overhead volume. I don't want to be getting into a name like this. Last one from StockTwits, VVPR. Kind of a similar story here, down 76% from the high, a lot of overhead volume. This isn't the type of trading that I'm familiar with, so like I said, you could always make money on different trades, different setups, but I always try and trade what I'm familiar with, the setups that I'm comfortable with. So not going to be looking too much into that guy. All right, let's jump to the comments on the live stream. So we have AT&T. So for me, 200 days in a downtrend, relative strength has been very poor compared to QQQs. So not something that I will be trading myself. We come off the lows at only up 9% off the lows. Not something that I would be looking to swing trade, and that's typically the trades that I do. Have a lot of area to work for, so I always focus on winning stocks that are getting stronger, not weak stocks that are bouncing. So not a focus of mine there. I covered Apple earlier, so you can use the timestamps after this video wraps up to go over that. Let's see, IPR, talked about that one. Let's just go through a couple of these guys. Love's always given me good stocks to watch for, so let's see here. Got a 270% move higher. That's checking the box. Pullback of 26%. And we got a pullback here, 14%. Third little one of 5%. ATR is getting very tight. Relative strength holding up fine. Volumes pretty quiet through here. Got the 50-day simple moving average and a couple of these overhead volumes to get through. Ooh, really nice pivot buy point through the high there. So you have 4 high points that you could use. Let's see, 58.76, 58.82, 58.95, 58.75. So around $59 would be a really nice buy point. This is a quality setup. Has been a strong move, kind of a VCP. I will definitely be adding this to my watch list. Thanks for showing this. Let's see, CBAY. So 200 days back in an uptrend. We got to move off the lows 400%. See, pull back to the 50-day simple moving average of only 17%. I would love to see this kind of move up to the previous high point here and then pull back again. So the ATR has some time to get quiet. Volume's been really light on this. I know I had this on my watch list at one point. The earnings, nothing on earnings. So I'll probably throw this back on my watch list because it does have that power behind it. But I'm going to be a little bit more cautious with this because I do have a decent number of names already. Don't want to be overextending my portfolio. Let's see how that goes out. I'm going to do, let's see, trying to find some that I don't have on my watch list to go over. KURA. 200-day in a nice uptrend. Let's see, off the lows. 470%, so really strong move. Now from the highs to the low, right now 11%, so really tight move. Big selling volume action right there, so a little bit concerning about that. This red candle day doesn't matter too much because it was buying volume all day after it gapped down. So kind of similar to the other guy, I'd love this to move up and then another pullback to create that pivot buy point. Otherwise, you could use the all-time high as your buy for, and that would be 40.50. Yeah, those two volume bars are a little bit scary for me, but we'll see how this plays off. I'm going to add this to my watch list as well. Let's do one more guy. WCC. 200-day just starting to go in an uptrend. Let me zoom out here. Got some overhead, not too much. 280% off the lows, and then a recent move of 60%. So with this, you would be looking with a break over the previous high. That would be 64.59. Yeah, ATR is starting to come in a little bit, but this is already overextended. I would need this to either move sideways for a while, so the 20 and the 8-day could catch up for some support, or even pull back to this previous base. Ideally, undercut the low here, fill this gap, and then we can start moving up again through there. But again, when we have these strong stocks that are breaking out up 200% on the year, up 80% in the last couple of weeks, it's good to build a watch list that has all those names. Not that you're going to be trading immediately, but that you're going to be watching for those pullbacks to support, watching to create those pivots, ATR getting quiet, volume getting quiet, people forgetting about the stock, and then you can buy in on those breakouts. All right, so I'll be looking at these other stocks, and then we'll respond on StockTwits if I see anything good. But with that said, that's my watch list for the week. And if you haven't yet, leave a like. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to Stock Tricks with Nick. We do these live streams twice a week. And then follow me on StockTwits and Twitter. Have a great week, and let's make some money.